නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. May my homage to the blessed one, may my homage to the Buddha, may my homage to the Dhamma, may my homage to the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear Dhamma friends, I warmly welcome you for today's Dhamma talk. And today also I would like to explain you very beautiful Dhamma practice, Dhamma method, which is included in one of the best, one of the beautiful discourse of our great teacher Samma Sambuddha. So in that sutta, in that Pali canon, it is known as Maha Saropama Sutta, which is in the middle length discourses or Majjhima Nikaya discourses. If we take the simple meaning of the sutta, it is called Saropama. Sare means, in Pali, Sara means essence. Or if you take a tree, essence means the heart core of the tree, heartwood of the tree, or else core of the tree. So opama mean just parable, metaphor, simile. So our great teacher has preached this sutta by using a simile of a heartwood of a tree. Since that this sutra is known as Saropama Sutta. This is very beautiful because it really relates to our practices, our way of understanding. Because it's so practical. When you go through the sutta, you will begin to understand how much valuable to that teachings into our lives. In that sutta, before we jump into the factors of Dhamma, Buddha clearly explained us about a simile, about the tree. In that Buddha said, there's a man, there's a person who needs of having a tree. Then that particular person, what he does is, he just go into the jungle and is going to search for a tree, and he was going deep into the jungle, and ultimately he found a huge tree, and he stood in front of the tree and observed the tree. And that particular person really need of having the hardcore or the hardwood of the tree, but initially what he does is that he just collect all the branches, twigs and leaves of the tree and collected together and just leave the place, by thinking that I have gained, I have grasped the hardwood of the tree. By thinking that, he left the place. So Buddha said, there is another wise person standing nearby this place and observing this incident, and the wise person made a conclusion that this person who have reached to the jungle and who have gone away with just branches, twigs and leaves, and the wise person thinks further that this person entered to the jungle to have the hardwood of the tree, but instead of getting the hardwood, he only just satisfied with branches, leaves and twigs, and this person just went away with that, by imagining the hardwood of the tree as imagining that. So this wise person thought, this person indeed know nothing about the tree, he know nothing about the branches, leaves, twigs and anything of the tree, he know nothing about the outer bark of the tree, he know nothing about the inner bark of the tree, he know nothing about the the softwood or the sapwood of the tree, he know nothing about the hardwood of the tree. Because of that, he just went away with the leaves and twigs. And there was another person he also in need of hardwood of a tree. He also entered to the jungle, and he was also find a huge tree, and he stood before the tree, and not like the first one, the second one is just removing all the branches, leaves and twigs away from the tree, and he collected all the outer bark of the tree, just scrape the outer bark and collect the outer bark, and by just satisfying with the outer bark of the tree, he just leave the place. So the wise man again thinks, this person also the same like the first one, though he have removed the branches, twigs and leaves, he only just satisfied with the outer bark of the tree. So indeed this person also know nothing about the branches of the tree, leaves of the tree, twigs of the tree. He know nothing about the bark and sapwood, softwood. He know nothing about the tree. He had done something. He had done some efforts to remove the twigs, leaves and branches, but still he know nothing about the tree. So this wise man made that conclusion. So then again there is another man entered to the jungle by having the same purpose, and this particular person also just stood before a tree, and he, not like two earlier persons, he removed the leaves and branches and twigs and everything, and also removed the outer bark. But that particular person, he collect all the inner bark of the tree and collected them in carefully, and he just leave the place by imagining the inner bark of the tree as the hardwood of the tree. So then wise man again think, though this person have removed the twigs, leaves and branches and outer barks, he only satisfied with the inner bark of the tree by imagining that inner bark as the hardwood of the tree. So this wise man made a conclusion that this person also know nothing about the tree. He know nothing about the branches and leaves and twigs. He know nothing about the outer core of the tree. He know nothing about the inner core of the tree. He know nothing about the sapwood of the tree. He know nothing about the core of the tree. Hence he know nothing about all the parts of the tree, but he left the place by just imagining, by just satisfying by thinking that it is belongs to the hardwood, but he has got nothing of the hardwood. So this is how the third person acted. And there was another person, he also entered to the jungle, and he satisfied not only he have removed already the branches and twigs and leaves and outer barks, inner barks and sapwood, and he carefully touches the hardwood or the core of the tree, and he carefully removed the core of the tree, sapwood, hardwood of the tree, and he just leave the place. So then wise man thought, this person indeed is a wise one. He knows everything about the tree. He is the one who truly knows about branches and leaves, twigs, outer barks, inner barks, sapwood or the softwood of the tree, as well as he know everything about the hardwood. And if there is any essence he would need to have from the hardwood, definitely this person will have that all the benefits out of the hardwood, because he have carefully taken out the hardwood of the particular tree. So out of all the 5 types of people, this is the only person who reap the real benefits, reap the real results out of this hardwood. So that was the simile. Just imagine the beauty of the simile that our great teacher has used. By just giving that simile, the Buddha explained the Dhamma factors very beautifully. How? In the same way of the simile, there are some disciples in this Buddha's dispensation, by hearing Dhamma from the Buddhas or from any of the Kalyana Mittas, he get to know about the Four Noble Truths, mainly as Dukkha Satya, mean the noble truth of suffering, noble truth of dukkha, and noble truth of the causes for suffering, Samudaya Satya, as well as for the third noble truth, the noble truth of Dukkha Nirodha Satya, that means the emancipation or the deliverance from the suffering, just removing the suffering, that is third noble truth, as well as the noble truth of Magga Satya, the way leading to the liberation, or else the fourth noble truth. So, by hearing them, he understood something special in the Dhamma. So, by living as a human being, as a sentient beings, we have to face the birth suffering, because we have to face the aging, and we have to face the sicknesses, we have to face the finally we have to face the death. Those are unavoidable, inescapable, so definitely we have to face them, and he understood that matter, and he decided to enter this sasana as a monk. And being entered as a monk, he began the practices, and when he began the practices, Sila Samadhi Prajna, and holds the robe as a noble bhikkhu, so then he is getting so much of fames, honor, and materialistic requisites from the lay people, from the surrounding. He is getting so many benefits, fames, not like the other monk. Then he began to think that I am getting this much of requisites, this much of wealth, this much of fame and benefits because of my qualities, because I am already possessed with so many qualities. I am really worthy enough to have this kind of wealth, but others, they are not like me. So he just criticize others, belittle others, and he has done that because of his conceit, but he cannot understand his defilement of the conceit. Since that he just intoxicated with these gains and fames. And further, he is not trying to practice sila further, samadhi and prajna. He just satisfied with the materialistic wealth. So, as I explained the simile, the first one, he is having earlier he had the purpose of getting the heartwood of the tree, but instead he just satisfied with the leaves and branches of the tree. So, Buddha just explained this person who only satisfied with the twigs and leaves are compatible with this particular person in the sasana, who is just satisfied only with the materialistic gains. So, there is another one who entered the sasana after hearing the Four Noble Truths and after hearing the reality of the Dhamma, and he also initially thinking to gain the liberation, complete liberation, and as a monk in the beginning he also getting so many fames, honors, and requisites and materialistic gain from the others, but he is not indulging on them, he is not satisfied with them. Further, he practices sila, and after a while he begin to think that I am really ethically well, morally well, but not like myself. The others are not just like me, they are not much sila, they do not have much sila, or just they are not ethically well like me, morally not well like me. So, he begins to criticize others, begins to belittle others, begins to inferior others by thinking he as a superior one in the moral aspect, in a ethical aspect. He just satisfied with the a moral conductivity, and he is intoxicated with the moral practices, ethical practices, that is called sila sampada. So, Buddha compared this particular person as the second person of the tree simile, the second person who came to gain the heartwood of the tree, but only just satisfied with the outer bark of the tree. This second person also, he came to find the complete liberation, but only he just satisfied with the ethical conduct of the path. Then there is another one, he also entered the sasana, and he also initially gained lots of fame and honor and also the materialistic wealth, but he is not just satisfied with them. Further, he practices sila, and by practicing sila, he gets samadhi as well, and he indulges with the samadhi, and he begins to think that I am truly having the samadhi. When you have the samadhi, mean you are in the first, second, third and fourth jhanas, as well as if you go beyond that, you can achieve the formless jhanas, akinchanyayatane, akasananchayatane, vijnananchayatane. Those are the formless jhanas, very hard to achieve. So this one who practices carefully sila, samadhi and this thing, they can achieve very hardly, they can achieve. And when they get samadhi, they began to think, if they don't have correct Dhamma knowledge, correct understanding of the Dhamma, they begins to think that I am really having the samadhi, and I am really having the calm and quiet physical features within me, with me. Because of that, I am getting the mental composure, mental calmness, mental concentration. Because of that, he begins to observe others, and they don't have mental calmness like me. They don't have samadhi like me. They behave like, they are always talkative, they are doing so many works. Hence, he begins to criticize, he begins to inferior others, because he has already intoxicated with that samadhi. So, after that, he is going to satisfy with only that samadhi, and he further not tries to develop the wisdom and other liberations. Up to the complete liberation, he is not practicing because of his satisfaction. Though this person, Buddha compared to the third one of the simile of the tree, third one, he entered to the jungle by having the purpose of finding the heartwood of the tree, but he just satisfied, he just removed the branches, twigs and leaves and removed the outer barks, but only satisfied with the inner barks of the tree. So, this person, compatible with this kind of person, the person who entered to the sasana, who just satisfied with the samadhi. Then again, there is a fourth one, he also entered to the sasana by hearing the Four Noble Truths, understands up to some level about the Four Noble Truths, and he also practices these monastic qualities as a bhikkhu. Initially, he begins to get so many fames, honor and materialistic gains, and he is just not satisfied with them. Further, he practices sila, he practices samadhi, and beyond that, that's very specific point, my dear Dhamma friends. Beyond that, he gets in the jnana dasana. Jnana mean in English, it can be translated as knowledge. Jnana, dasana mean the dasana mean Pali, seeing, observing. Further, if I explain it in English, it is not just the physical seeing. When you understand the Dhamma in your mind, it is like an eye. From an eye, we can observe things. Similarly, when you understand Dhamma, you can observe the reality with your wisdom. So, this jnana dasana mean it is getting, you get that knowledge and that seeing ability of the world because of this higher level of jhana and samadhi. Those, since they are known as jnana dasana. For an example, initially there are known as pancha abhinya. There are 5 super knowledges, super level knowledges. The first one is known as, if you go beyond the samadhi, you can gain one knowledge. It is known as pubbe nivasanusmriti jnana. That means you can see your past existences, past lives, how you have been and where you have been what type of profession you had done during the previous existence. You can observe that with your high level of samadhi. That is known as Pubbe Nivasanasmati Jnani. That the meaning of that, you can observe, you can see the past incidents. So that is a super level of capacity because of jhana. That can be gained through the practitioner who have practiced in that way. And also Dibba Chakku, mean he can observe things which is far away from us. Suppose now scientists, they are trying to observe the so much distant things like black holes and other suns in in the end of this universe, so many millions of light years away things, they try to observe by using technology. But the one who have developed the jhana or the mental samadhi up to those levels, they can observe the things with that samadhi. That is the capability of samadhi. And just imagine if you get that kind of knowledge, it is a higher achievement in this Dhamma. So this is the second type. And third type is known as Parachitta Vijnana Jnani. That means the one who have that knowledge, he can read others' mind. And the fourth one is known as Dibba Sota. Dibba Sota means he can hear things. The Dibba Chakku known as clairvoyance. That means the capability of seeing things which is far away from us. That's known as clairvoyance. Here the fourth one, the Dibba Sota, is known as clairaudience. That means the ability to hear things which is far away things, clairaudience. So by developing this samadhi up to this level, he can hear things which is in the universe. Suppose now recently scientists have discovered the sound of the Big Bang. They were just telling that because it is so much past, that incident already happened before billions of years, but still the echoing of that sound is available in the universe. So it is very so subtle sound. With the science, with the technology, they have just detected that sound. But those who have practiced samadhi up to the level of gaining that Dibba Sota or the superhuman capabilities like the that Dibba Sota Jnana, that means the clairaudience knowledge. So he can listen to subtle sounds like that. So it is the capability. That is the fourth one. Likewise, there is a Iddhivida Jnana, fifth one. Iddhivida means, suppose if you want to just create a tree like a magician, so this person can do that with that psychic power, with that mental capacity. So just imagine people who have got with this kind of talents, they are really superficially, they are superb human beings. But Buddha said there are some monks entered to this asana and getting so many wealth, fame and honor, he is not satisfied. He further practices sila, he is not just satisfied. He further practices samadhi, he is not just satisfied. But once he get these type of super knowledges and super capabilities, he is just satisfied with them, because I am having this much of qualities and others, they don't have that much of qualities. So I am the superior one, others are inferior to me. So he just intoxicated with these qualities, these capabilities. He further doing practices to understand, to penetrate the real meaning of the Dhamma. So Buddha compared this person to in that simile, there is a fourth person. He entered to the tree jungle to find the heartwood of the tree, but by just removing the twigs, leaves and branches and removing the outer bark and removing the inner bark, he only satisfied with the sapwood of the tree. And just by taking the sapwood or the softwood of the tree, he just leave the jungle by imagining that softwood as the hardwood of the tree. So the wise person thought this person will not get any benefit out of the softwood, because all the benefits can be taken only from the hardwood. he just satisfied only with the sap wood or the soft wood. So this person indeed is not wise one. Since he know nothing about this tree, he know nothing about the leaves, branches, twigs, outer bark, inner bark, sap wood, hardwood, he know nothing about the tree. But he just hardly made so many efforts, because he have removed already leaves and twigs, and also outer bark, inner bark. To get the sap wood, he has to done something, but still he know nothing about the tree. Similarly, this person who have produced this jnana dasana, who have produced this wisdom and knowledges, superhuman capabilities, that is a very hard thing to do in this sasana. But only he is satisfied with those things. And the Buddha said, this person also know nothing about the this Dhamma in this sasana. He know nothing about the real gains and wealth of this sasana. Though maybe people maybe offer so many materialistic things to him, his name, his good name will be spread throughout the world, throughout the globe, because this person is a superhuman being. He can do so many miraculous things, but he know nothing about this Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, Sila, Samadhi and Prajna. He know nothing. Just imagine, dear Dhamma friends, now if you take the world, if you observe the world, most people are coming to Buddhism is just to find some relaxation, calm and composure into the mind. They are just satisfying with that. Of course, these kind of thing you can get not only from Buddhism. If you practice yoga, if you practice any kind of meditation, there are so many methods of meditation, bhavana methods are there, and you can gain calmness obviously from them, quietness obviously from them. Not only that, dear Dhamma friends, as I explained, I have mentioned you 5 types of super psychic gains through this bhavana. Before Buddhism, before Buddha become enlightened, even before that, these kind of superhuman capabilities have achieved by the ascetics and Brahmins in the other religions. So that they have taught something very special. It cannot be recognized. So this Buddha's Dhamma is not just focusing your happiness, not just focusing your just mental calmness, mental happiness. It is just focusing the heartwood of the Dhamma. So similarly, as the simile explained, if a person needs to get the real benefits out of the heartwood, he have to carefully remove the branches, twigs and leaves first, and then outer barks. Then he has to come inside the inner barks, as well as he has to come over the sapwood or the softwood of the tree, and finally he has to reach the core of the tree. Then only whatever the benefits that can be taken out of the heartwood, that person can be achieved. So similarly, dear Dhamma friends, we also the same. As the practitioners, when you become a monk, you will not get the benefits, all the benefits. When you just practice bhavana, you will not get the benefit as a monk or as a lay person. So you have to penetrate the real true meaning of the Dhamma. So in that case, the last one, Buddha said, he also entered to this sasana. He not only satisfied with the materialistic gains and wealth, he not just satisfied with the morality or the ethical conduct, he not just satisfied with the the mental composure or the just samadhi, he not just satisfied with the superhuman capabilities, as I explained you about the 5 human capabilities. Further he practices and further he gains. If you take there are 2 Saropama suttas, one is Chula Saropama, the other one is Maha Saropama. The one sutta is just Buddha preached on behalf of a lay person. The other one is Buddha preached on behalf of a monk, on behalf of an ascetic. So little differences are there, but the Buddha pointing out the same structure in the sutta. finally in one sutta Buddha said, this Dhamma is for akopya ceto muktiya. That is because the Buddha said we have to do this practice, we have to adopt this Dhamma into our lives, we have to learn this Dhamma, we have to practice this Dhamma, not by expecting anything else, but this akopya ceto mukti. That means, akopya means it is unshakable, unfallible. It cannot be shaken, it cannot be changed. Your liberation, your freedom cannot be shaken, cannot be moved, cannot be disturbed. That is known as akopya ceto mukti. So that unshakable liberation is the final target of Buddhism. So if one, by practicing, if one touches that unshakable liberation, he is the one who has touched, who has gained the heartwood of this Dhamma. In other sutta, in the other sutta, it is mentioned samaya vimukta and asamaya vimukta. So our purpose is to gain the asamaya vimukta. So I will explain these two terms. Samaya vimukta mean you get the liberation only for a certain period of time. Suppose, by just practicing, if you get an samadhi, and if you really stuck in the samadhi, you will get the much happiness, much blissfulness into our lives. You cannot find that blissfulness, find that comfortability, both physical and mental. You can never find it from these sensualities. If you experiences pleasures from the sensual light, sensual faculties, like from the eye, if you see forms, from the ear, if you observe, if you hear noises, sounds, and from your tongue, if you taste very pleasant, delicious taste, and if you from your body, from your tactile sensations, if you experience happy experiences from your bodily experiences, you can never find that pleasure which you gain from the samadhi. You can never experience that happiness out of these sensual worlds. So just imagine, if you gain the happiness out of the samadhi, it is so much of happiness, but it is samaya mukta, mean you get that liberation only when you are at samadhi only. But suppose, then again, if you are not practicing further, if you getting away from the samadhi, then you will lose that liberation. It is like, suppose when you are living in our home, every morning, every day, we have to clean up our surrounding, we have to arrange our bed, we have to clean up our room, we have to clean up our house, we have to clean up our surrounding. Day to day we have to practice that. Otherwise, if you do cleaning up only today, but tomorrow morning again it will be filled with debris and the other parts, other just unnecessary items you have to arrange it daily. So until you arranging it properly, it will be clean. But if you stop that arranging, if you stop that clearing and cleaning process, then again it will become collected with dirty and debris. So this process has to be continued. So after you cleaning up, your physical around is clean. If you stop the cleaning process, then again it will be get dirt. So when you cleaned up that particular instant, you are freed from the defile. But again when it dirt, it filled with dirt, then again it is unclean. Similarly, when you practice samadhi, when you are at the samadhi, you are freed from the defilement. But when you stop the practicing of samadhi, then again your mind will be defiled, corrupted with defilements. So that's why it's known as samaya mukta. When you gain the samadhi, first, second, third, fourth, and beyond that formless jhanas, if you get that samadhi, if you get all those 8 types of samadhi, those are known as samaya mukta. You get the liberation for a particular time period only. Then Buddha said, this Dhamma is not for that samadhi, that liberation. This Dhamma is for the complete liberation, that is known as asamaya mukta. Asamaya mukta means you will not get the liberation only for a certain period of time. If you get liberated by understanding the Dhamma, that liberation is not for a day or a month or a year or a 10-year or a period of time. It will remains forever. Suppose if you gain the Sotapanna level as the extreme enterer, that liberation is forever. If you remove the Sakkaya Ditthi means self-identification view, you will remove it forever. And if you become Sotapanna, you will remove the Vichikicca, mean doubt. Some are translated as Vichikicca, skeptical doubt. As well as the Silabbata Paramasa mean until one become to that point, they practice Sila. But it is Silabbata Paramasa mean they are practicing that ethical conduct or just samadhi or whatever with paramasa. Paramasa mean that he doesn't have the understanding, he doesn't have the real knowledge of practicing Sila. The purpose of Sila he doesn't have. Some are thinking just practicing Sila he try to get the liberation. Some are thinking just practicing Sila get the happiness, and by just practicing Sila he expecting to become gods like superhuman beings, super beings, and once they reborn in the celestial realms they can experience the blissfulness, happiness. By thinking in that way they practice a Sila. So those are comes under Silabbata Paramasa. But when you become Sotapanna, then you will completely eradicate, completely relinquished from all these defilements, and that is not for a certain period of time, but it is forever. If you become Sotapanna, you will never again get that skeptical doubts, self-identification views, as well as the Silabbata Paramasa. You know that wrongly understanding Sila, you will forever eradicate it. And you, from that point onwards, you know the exact meaning of the Sila. You know how to practice Sila, how this ethical conduct really will benefit you to gain the liberation. You know how to apply Sila properly. So that is the benefit. And when you become further, you become Sakadagami, mean you will reduce your Kamaraga and Patiga. Kamaraga mean, you know, the level of the level of attachment towards the sensuality, that is called Kamaraga. And Patiga mean the anger level, which is very hard in the, you know, the uneducated minds. But the one who have gained that Sotapanna, they are, you know, once they practices little further, they will reduce that level, Kamaraga and Patiga, that anger nature of the mind. So that when you reduce that level by becoming Sakadagami, that means one returner, he will just return to this sensual world for one time. That's why he known as Sakadagami, mean one returner. And that the amount of the defilements he has reduced, it is forever, because he will not again, he will, in the mind, in his mind, that the higher level of this the Kamaraga, attachment towards the sensualities, as well as the anger, higher level of anger will never arise in his mind, because he has reduced not just for a period of time but for a forever. And when one becomes Anagami, mean non-returner, he will never will reborn in this sensual world. He will be reborn only in the form world and the formless world. So that release, that deliverance, that eradication of defilement is not just for a period of time, that is for a forever. You have the non-returner already de-shackled from the 5 shackles, that is known as, I explained 3-1, first 3 Sakkaya Ditthi, Vichikicca, Silabbata Paramasa. Once one becomes Sotapanna, he has completely eradicated those 3 fetters and 3 links. As well as I told you that when one become one returner, he just reduced the amount of the 2 defilements known as Kamaraga and Patiga. And once he become non-returner, he completely eradicated those 5 fetters forever. He will never get that kind of fetters in his mind ever. So that release, that deliverance is not just for a period of time, but it is for the forever. And further, if one become completely enlightened by becoming an arahant, he completely eradicated all the defilements, all the fetters, and he will never again have any kind of attachment, any kind of suffering. That deliverance is forever. That is why the Buddha's Dhamma is just focusing that complete liberation, full liberation. That liberation is not just for a period of time. The one who have completely eradicated, they don't need to do further bhavana. I mean, they do bhavana, but they have already released from the relinquishment, all the attachment. This further they don't need to do further meditation. They have already released. So this Dhamma is for that complete liberation. Up until to gain that complete liberation, we need to practice. We should not be just stuck with the sila, samadhi and prajna and other the psychic powers and kind of things. So people are likes to gain those qualities, like if we see the world, even in my country as Buddhist people, they think if they hear the name bhikkhu, they think that bhikkhu should be do the meditation only. They are always trying to come to this monastery and come to a jungle, come to a forest, and they always try to do meditation. They think Buddhism is just meditation, but that is a completely misguided identification. It's a completely misguided view. Buddhism is not just meditation. Buddhism is just the meaning of the Buddha. In Pali it is known as Bodhi, Buddha, Buddha. So meaning of that term is the one who has the realization, who has the comprehensive wisdom, penetrative insight. That is known as the Buddha or the Buddha or the Buddhist. So that's the nature of. Sometimes there may be persons, they have the understanding, but they may not be practice much samadhi, because they may have so many troubles, family troubles, economical troubles. In those things included in Buddhism, like there are some monks, and if you go through like Chula Samadhana Sutta, there are some followers, disciples, they know Dhamma, they have penetrated the meaning of the Dhamma, but still their body is inflicted with so many physical sufferings, as well as their mind is filled with so many defilements, acute defilements. From the naturally it begins because of the previous existence, lower level of karma. Now at present moment, present life, their level of raga dvesa moha are higher. So they are not easily getting the happiness, samadhi, but still they struggle to gain that. So that's why they struggling, but still they are in the Dhamma. But there are some other disciples, they are living very happily because their level of raga dvesa moha is very lower and very lesser. So because of that, once they begin to practice, they get the samadhi very easily. Because of that, they live very happily in this life, and hereafter also they will get the happiness. But the person who not get samadhi easily, at present life they are not much happy, they are struggling to get the samadhi. When you observe from the external, you may seem that these persons are not practicing Dhamma because they don't have samadhi, their face is not beautiful, because that is because not that they are not in the sasana, because they cannot gain the samadhi, because they have done so many bad deeds in the past lives. So by just looking the outer appearance, we cannot just touch the core of the Dhamma. Suppose there is a beautiful teaching, beautiful metaphor we can hear from the Western teachings. Like if you are in the management field, you can see we have been taught that iceberg theory. When you go to a sea, if you observe an iceberg, you from the surface of the sea, you begin to observe only the surface of a iceberg, but it is just only 5% of the complete iceberg. The 95% you cannot see from the surface, you have to deep dive into the sea, then only you can observe the latter part of the iceberg. Similarly, when you observe the Dhamma from the external, from the surface, you could see only just the tiny part, you cannot see the hidden part which is inside the Dhamma. So, as that of the simile, that if you want to observe the hidden part of the iceberg, you have to deep dive into the sea. Similarly, if you want to get the real meaning out of this Dhamma, you have to deep dive into the Dhamma. So, that is where you find the main teachings of the core of Buddhism, that is known as the Four Noble Truths. And each and every practices we do practice in Buddhism, if you do sila, if you do samadhi, if you do alms giving, if you are helping others, if you are smiling, if you are doing loving kindness practices, if you are doing metta, if you are doing yoga, if you do any kind of practices, that's all practices can be included, can be matched with these Four Noble Truths. That is the beauty of this Dhamma. And because of this sutta, begin with this sutta, we will hope you to explain how you match up with Four Noble Truths, each and everything. Suppose we have to learn about dana, we have to learn about sila, we have to learn about samadhi, we have to learn about panchakkhandha mean 5 aggregates, salayatana mean the 6 sense bases, as well as atalos dhatu mean 18th type of elements, and patisampada mean dependent origination, as well as the hetupala mean the causes and conditions, and the effects and results. Likewise, there are so many teachings, so many practices are available. So, but all those practices can be included into the Four Noble Truths. That is the beauty of Dhamma. So, in the future sermons, we will hope to explain you how to be matched every practices, every Dhamma things into the Four Noble Truths. So, let us do it in the future. And if you get any kind of doubt and if any kind of suggestion, so I would like to suggest you that if you have any doubts and if you have any suggestions, you can suggest to us by just dialing and calling up to this number. So, we will display you on this number in this sermon while playing this Dhamma sermon. It can be available on the screen. So, you can ask your questions as well as you can put forward your suggestions towards us. So, it will improve our this quality of this Dhamma, and it will benefit for us, and it will help for us to further create further doing of our Dhamma works. So, with that we are coming to the end of the sermon. So, we have in this sutta, as a conclusion, we have discussed about the true teachings or the heart food or the core of this Buddha's Dhamma. So, as Buddhist, we have to focus that core of the Dhamma. Otherwise, if you just satisfied with the just your calmness of your mind, and if you just have a little pleasure, if you find satisfaction with this kind of thing, you will not get the true essence of this Dhamma. So, with that merit that we have gained throughout this sermon, I would like to wish you all, you may find the final peace and liberation from this Dhamma itself with these merits, and for that purpose you may have the blessings of the Noble Triple Gems, as well as the merits and virtues that you have gained through this sermon will be a cause, will be a help for you to gain that liberation. So, with that we will finish it up this Dhamma talk, and the merits and virtues that you have accrued through this Dhamma sermon. First of all, I would like to share with my teachers. I would like to remind my teacher's name, especially Venerable Maha Thero, as well as Venerable Mankadawala Nandaratana Thero, as well as Venerable Kothmali Kumara Kashyapa Thero, my teachers, will be received these merits and virtues, and may they have a blissful present life as well as blissful future lives, as well as may they be able to gain the well-being and happiness on both the lives, as well as finally may they be able to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana with these merits, as well as the staff who have worked behind this event. There are so many people behind the screen. They have made their devotion and dedication. So may they get these merits, may they have these merits, and may they also find the ultimate happiness through understanding of the Nibbana. Finally, all the sentient beings be blessed with noble triple gems and with these virtues and merits, meritorious these blessings, and may they find the ultimate happiness through this Dhamma by understanding the Nibbana. So with that, let's finish the Dhamma talk, and I would like to bless you all. Abhivadana Silissa Nichang Vaddha Pachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vaddhanti Ayuvanno Sukhang Balang Ayuarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Atho Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samijjhatu.